Hey everybody, welcome back to our third live stream of Storm Champ. This is Storm Champ, the podcast that talks to everyday people about how they're getting through the storms in their life. And this current storm is, as you guessed, the coronavirus. We've been talking about that all week. Kim and Angie are joining me tonight. We missed Derek. We missed him last night for sure. That was my big mistake. We need to post that picture of Derek, the one he was like sad with his microphone. It was like perfect. Ladies, how the hell are you?
I'm doing good.
Pretty good today, yeah. Happy to say the sun's out. That definitely makes a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. It's been super gloomy here in Virginia. Like all day today, it's been raining. So
at least it's not snow.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And you know what? That's a good
inside, but
it's true. But at least it's not winter anymore. I mean, that's one thing we can celebrate. Come on.
Yeah, could you imagine, like, all of a sudden, if there was like a big ass snowstorm in the middle of all this madness?
Well, it actually snowed in Michigan on Monday. There was snow on the ground.
Did it really?
Yeah, and it was just like, "Fuck you, Corona." Like it just felt like it was like another slap on the face.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. Sorry.
That's it, girl. It's all good. We can curse here. This is a safe place to say whatever the fuck you want.
Right. Right.
So what was good? Tell me one good thing about today for you guys. What was one good thing? Let's start with Angie.
I just think today I turned my lens on for looking at things, looking for opportunities versus the negative of the situation. And I just started thinking about all the positives of what could happen after the storm has passed. And as far as the world and things changing. So it was a beautiful day. I think when you have sunshine and you're out in the elements, it's not hard to like be appreciative of the things that you have.
Right.
So
awesome. What about you, Kim?
Beautifully
what was good about
said.
Today?
Yeah. No, so definitely nature. I kind of got grounded the other day when I was walking and stepped on like earth. I like actually stepped on grass that like my foot kind of sank into, and I was like, usually I'd be kind of upset right now, but I'm just so excited to like feel spring and like the elements happening around me. I saw like 6 different types of flowers, and each and every one, ooh, look at that one. Did you? I like kind of felt like a kid myself, like just trying to get through my day. And so today it was sunny and high of like 74, and that is the stuff that Northern Michigan kids dream about. So I was in a good place today.
True story.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad the weather's good for you. It's like
no, it makes such a big difference, especially, I mean, we all need to kind of pat ourselves on the back for getting through however long or short this winter was. And so spring is a huge time to celebrate. When you can get out there and like get with it, it feels amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So there's two things I was grateful for today. One is my routine is starting to come together finally. Like I finally feel like things are starting to click in place between waking up and doing at-home workouts, and like work is starting to kind of click together, and the team's coming together, and feels like we're finally finding a bit of a norm. So that's good. It's been good to kind of feel that way. And then the second thing was I was on another podcast I recorded a couple weeks ago, and it got published today. So I talk about servant leadership, and I was super excited to share that post. So if you follow me on Instagram, it is up there. Take a look, have a listen.
Awesome.
Super excited. That was the first time I've never been on another show before, so I was excited about that. Yeah. Like you interviewed me for this one, Kim, and that was like my first time ever being interviewed. But that was this other one was the first time I was ever on someone else's show, so that was pretty cool.
That's really cool because you can see, obviously, we spend a lot of time behind the scenes talking to each other and talking about the framework of where our perspective on certain things happening in our world, our shared reality comes from. So I think it's really cool when you get to guest on somebody else's show. So what did you learn about? I mean, hopefully our listeners also go back to that episode, but what did you learn about yourself today that you didn't know before you went on someone else's podcast?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like it's different when you all of a sudden become the project, right? Like,
and plus you just put me on the spot too. I'm like, damn, what did I
I'm so sorry. Okay, we can talk about it more.
No, it's all good. Yeah. No, I think, so I always listen to the show back. Even our shows, I'll listen to it back a few times to try to like figure out, okay, I'm saying too many ums or ahs or whatever. Like I'm super critical of how I sound. And so I'm always looking for opportunities to sound better. This was the first time I've ever talked pretty openly about what servant leadership meant to me. And that was kind of cool. It's just, learning to actually hear the words out loud in things that I think about all the time when I'm, I have a team and I lead people and all this other stuff. So to hear those, for me to articulate those words out loud when I'm thinking about them consciously all the time was pretty kind of freeing, and it was good. It was good to actually kind of say it to the world. So I was excited about that for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. So last time we talked last night, we ended the show by talking about how do we live intentionally, and we said we were going to go a little bit more into that. And I think it's really important in times like this to, as we're figuring out what this thing is going to do to our lives, and we know it's disrupted our lives, right? This whole pandemic, and it's made us kind of be more introspective about what we're doing, and especially because a lot of us have more time now and we're not sure what to do with ourselves. So the idea around living intentionally, let's talk a little bit about that and dissect it a little bit more. Kim, what does living intentionally mean to you?
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty deep dive into the conversation, depending on, how many different arms and legs of this topic you want to get into. But ultimately, I'm thinking about it, and there's a little bit of privilege involved in having the choice to begin with. Like, a lot of people feel victim of their own circumstances or situations. And for whatever, rhyme or reason, we go through these different rites of passage, it feels like, as we get older. And as we get to a spot where you can say, hey, you know what? I have a choice in how I want to live my daily life, my foodie life, my relationship with spirituality or God or the Catholic Church or whatever your thing might be. You get to choose how you want to live your life and grow in that truth. And so having the power be in your own hands to decide how you're going to choose how to live your life is the basic definition of living intentionally. So I think that's really important to recognize and understand, that there's a choice in the fact that you can either make this decision or that decision and choose to be intentional with your time, or you can sort of work through the, steps to get to a place where the power is more so in your hands to determine how you want to act in the world that you find yourself in, how you want to be perceived in the world that you find yourself in, and how active you are in general. So that's what I would say as a definition.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Angie?
I agree with Kim. For me, I think in the beginning of this whole storm, this episode, I was reacting to the situation, and I wasn't living intentionally, like how I typically have felt that I have in the past. And I think it's important to remember to choose happiness and to choose not to react to the situation, but to just be as present as possible. Don't react. Choose happiness versus dwelling on the negative, because you can start thinking about the negative and worry yourself to death, or just go down a rabbit hole where you're just completely, before you know it, like I said, your thoughts, where your thoughts go, your energy follows, and so that is what living intentionally means for me, is not to do that.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in that same boat. As like, living intentionally for me is, I think, number one, doing my best to stay present in the moments. Number two, understanding and aligning my actions and the things that I am actively giving energy to things that are going to either move me or move my family or move my career forward in some capacity.
That's so much more than just living intentionally. That's focus, that's drive, that's discipline. That's a lot of other things at play too. But absolutely, the foundation of what you're saying requires you to live intentionally, right?
Sure.
Is to have a frame of why, basically.
Yep.
Why am I doing X, Y, or Z, and how am I making choices to get closer to more of et cetera, et cetera. And so living intentionally is a really empowering position to be in life, but it takes some serious steps if you aren't quite in those spaces to fully understand what we're kind of talking about. I feel like this shows up in our lives in a lot of different ways, right? Living intentionally can be everyday little decisions. It can be a mantra in which you respond to things that have triggered you or that you feel victim to. Like, there's a lot of different ways we live intentionally. So like, now that most of us are at home more often, now that we have personal and social behaviors that have been maybe shifted in the response to the last several weeks, and maintaining the health of the general public, what does living intentionally look like today? And how is that different than 3-4 weeks ago?
Yeah. And that's something I think we talked a little bit about last night, where, I gave my advice to everybody. Actually, no, this last night we talked about books. I think it was the night before when I said, write down your some days, list them out, and then prioritize them, and then work on the first one. Work on the one that really drives you. And that, to me, that's an intentional choice that you're making. Like, okay, I'm actually going to put some time into this thing because I care about it, I'm passionate about it, and I actually have a moment of breath in this world and this lifetime at the moment to be able to do those kind of things. And it could be that simple as living to work on a passion. It could be for some folks that are figuring this out and maybe in a really bad spot that says, I'm going to take the next minute and just breathe, and intentionally breathe just to recenter themselves. So I think
absolutely.
Maybe that's all they got.
Yeah, that's all they
honestly.
got. Yeah. And sometimes they got to take it moment by moment. I've been in that place before, for sure.
I think there's a lot less pressure if you do it that way too.
Yeah.
Well, just less endurance. Like, you can make it happen more consistently and more immediate. Like, I feel like many parents are starting to figure out how they lose their mind with their kids, or how much more respect they have for their teachers, or coaches in their life that handle some of the worst, I guess not worst, most intense moments that the kiddos might be having. And like, you were in the thick of it after, trying to shuffle a day's worth of work in your career and also co-parent at the same time in less than 2,000 feet, all around you. So it's a big deal. I think a lot of people can understand what's going on when that's happening.
I'll tell you, like, when I was on my walk today, it felt like people were walking intentionally. It just felt like they were present. They were enjoying the sunshine. It felt like this new normal could be something that I think I definitely could get used to, which I wasn't really feeling that a couple weeks ago when this all started happening.
That's interesting. So what shifted for you, though?
Maybe it's being in the elements. Maybe it was the sun shining. It just didn't seem so bleak. Sometimes when you're in Michigan and some of these northern states, they call it like seasonal depression because you don't ever see the sun. I don't know. And then maybe something you said yesterday about just, shifting your perspective and looking at how you look at life with the opportunities before you. And I just started trying to shift my perspective to that. And something that always makes me be more present too is thinking of the things I'm grateful for versus the things that, I can't control and that may seem negative. So
that's definitely something. Every day I try to do 5 grateful. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like I'm a young-ish person who's lived a very, very, very full life. And so there are so many times where I have to hit pause and think about, like, okay, out of all of this, in every way, shape, and form, I can find something to articulate, to say that to understand, to study why I feel so grateful for getting to the place that I'm at today. And I think that taps into sort of a spiritual exploration and curiosity in ourselves. I think this is a healthy outcome of some of this forced behavioral shift that we're participating in. But I really think, people are going to become a little bit more in tune, hopefully, with how we are living intentionally. Hopefully, not just for ourselves, but with others, with the earth, with all of the ways we spend our money and all of the ways that things are coming into play for us personally and professionally. I think things have shifted, and I'm excited about that.
Kim, I have a secret to tell you. You're a baby still.
I'm a baby still. Oh, thanks.
You're a baby still. Seriously. I mean, I think that's other part of this too, is like we get caught up in like I'm getting old. And like,
right. That question's always on people's minds, but now it's like, Jesus, right?
Like, game that shit. Like, I mean, it's like pick an age you want to live to, right? Like in my head, I'm going to live till I'm 87, right? So if I live till I'm 87, I'm not even halfway there yet. Like,
right. But yet we think it's there. Like, it's like, oh my God, my life has flown before me and I could die tomorrow.
Yeah. Now let's be
Yeah.
clear. If I can get past 87, I'm super happy, right? But like that's the goal. Like so, long game it and don't worry about it. And I think that's part of living intentionally too. So let's talk about like today. Lots of anxiety still, lots of fear still. I think we're seeing pockets of like people starting to feel better about certain things. Like Angie, you mentioned like a shift that happened for you, right? So
Yeah.
what are the very tactical things somebody can do today, in your opinion, that will help them live more intentionally?
Shift your perspective. I mean, you have to, it's easier said than done, but something with you yesterday when we were having our conversation and clicked with me in about where you were saying I just look at the opportunities and I'm excited to see all of the amazing things that happen from this experience. And I started just thinking about like, oh yeah, like guess what? We can work remotely and people can spend more time with their families. And I saw so many families outside walking and enjoying the fresh air. And I just thought, if this is the new normal, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe families will connect better, or, we don't have to be in an office setting to be able to get our work done.
Right.
I'm working just as hard at home. I own a cloud service. I'm a cloud service provider. So like we have already been promoting work from home. This might be the best solution all around to have more time with our families and to disconnect from being so connected all the time on social platforms. And I don't know, I just don't think it's such a bad thing.
No, yeah, I think that's definitely opportunity. I think that's a huge idea. It's the idea of like you don't have to, right? We have this mentality. I remember being a very confused Catholic kid going to a Baptist summer camp, and they were working on something around attitude with the youth groups. And this thing that's forever stuck in my head is you don't have to, you get to. It's all about your perspective. It's all about your attitude. And I'm like, oh man, you guys did good. You got it in my head so many years later, but it's so true. And like being the pessimistic, deficit model by nature kind of like antagonist in the space, I really like, I think I've been struggling with a lot of that on a lot of daily things. One of the things that, to answer Carlos's question, I've been thinking living intentionally around so much food, right? Like a lot of people have stockpiled or have gone to the store and kind of bought in bulk, and maybe your fridge is looking a little more full, or maybe you're cooking family meals for the first time in forever. It's not a high holiday. Why are we using the casserole dishes? There are all of a sudden these different things that are happening, and we have so much food in the fridge. And food is a very deeply emotional connection for a lot of people in a lot of ways. And I think that is sort of a underlying secondary conversation to have about how do we live intentionally in regards to like what we're making, like the craft of cooking, how we're making it, how we're storing it. But then also, why are we eating so much? Why are we having so much food? Or maybe, like you can't really count the number of snacks you had in one day. Or if any of you are like me, you refill that iced tea cup several times over the afternoon. How many, what are we doing in terms of our health in that regard? I think right now is a great time to challenge ourselves to live intentionally around having so much food in the pantry, or maybe even in the garden. Soon we're going to have to figure out what to do and store food and things like that. But generally, it's a relationship that a lot of us can kind of dig into in our own histories, but it's an opportunity, I think, and a challenge to live intentionally around that in these days.
I wonder if if it were to go back to somewhat of the normalcy of what we used to experience, would people miss spending so much time with their family?
Yeah.
I almost think that they're going to realize that, hey, this other life is possible to an extent, and hopefully take the positives of what is occurring now, which is, I think, more time with our families and more time to just enjoy downtime, less time in the car, driving to work, less stress of being in the office, dealing with coworkers.
No commute is the most glorious thing ever right now. Especially in the DC area. It sucks. I can't even imagine what it's like for folks like in the Bay Area or LA or whatever, New York, how much, the commute's saving their lives, or lack of commute saving people's lives right now.
Totally. You're totally right.
Yeah. I think for me, a tactical thing that you can do to live more intentionally, I think it goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, was like just set one thing, just pick one thing you're going to do today, a commitment you're going to make to yourself, for yourself, and do whatever it takes to do that. And it could be, every hour I'm going to just breathe for 5 minutes, or every 2 hours I'm just going to breathe for 5 minutes, right? And tune everything out. Or it could be, I'm going to go work on this project or whatever. Something not work related, not anything but related, but something related to your own path to make you the best version of yourself. Like whatever that means, like just pick one thing and get that done, and just do that every single day. And before you know it, you can start adding a couple of different things. And before you know it, that's where progress really starts to take shape. But it starts today. It starts with picking that one and making it a conscious choice that you're going to do that thing for yourself today. You guys got super quiet.
No, I mean, I agree.
Real talk.
Like, it's a good thing is to start with one thing, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you just got to start. Like, right? The first step is the hardest step, like all of that.
Yeah. The one thing
Hey,
could be, you know,
first.
building that routine for yourself, or the one thing could be taking the 5 breaths, you know, conscious breaths every hour. I think it all starts with one thing. It's just, I think presence really is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So,
and then don't overthink the one thing, right? So like that's another problem too. It's like, okay, well, what's that one thing going to be? It's like, no, don't overthink it. Just like,
are you talking to me? What's the problem here, man?
No, I'm not talking to myself too.
Yeah, I know, I get it. It's true though. Like honestly, once you finally get to the point where if you're anything like me, like you've stewed on this thought, you've been bothered by this particular thing, you finally can name it. Once you've named it, let it be what it is. Like you've done the work already. Like that was the rough draft all the way leading up to the final words. You've decided what it is. Like let's take care of it now, you know?
And I think you need to be really careful around like, you know, you can say, okay, my one thing is I'm going to lose weight. It's like, okay, cool. Like, what does that mean today? Like, you know, that's not a thing you could do today, right? It's like, okay, what choices can I make today that's going to help the longer term goal of losing weight or getting in shape or whatever that
or
thing
it could, it could be just like, let's write the goal down of this and the steps that will take me to get there.
Yeah, that's the plan. Like today, the goal is my plan to get healthier, right? And what does that mean? And then you can break it down that way. And like, I want to be like, make sure I'm crystal clear about this, because I was in this bucket of like, I never wrote anything down before, right? Like it was like, oh, I'm going to keep it right here, and then that's it. But honestly, there is so much power in writing it down, and there's so much power in like coming up with that checklist of things you can get. Like when you see the checks every single day that you're getting stuff done, like it continues to drive and motivate you to get other stuff done, right?
Carlos, it's a huge deal because like, okay, I'm an achiever and I'm very visual in my learning, and you got to see those lists, and you got to be able to like check it off. I'm also a Taurus, so if you want to get into some like personal you know, things like I need to be focus driven. I need to see that progress happen. I'm motivated by that. Like I know myself, trust me. I just need to like get through this time without like ramming into every wall in person that I come across, you know?
Yeah, one of the things I started doing, and I do this every day now, is like I have a thing called a power list, and that's like my checklist of things that I got to get done that day. And if I get everything done, I put a W next to the day for a win. And if I don't get everything done,
I see you.
I mean, and then I put exactly, it's a baseball score, right? So like I put a loss if I don't hit the day, and then I keep track of the days I win and the days I've lost, and like I have an overall score for the year right now, and that's how it's awesome. My small little metric on like how well I'm doing. And when I start seeing
You're such a nerd, but we gotta do that, guys. Everybody.
This is the data-driven nerd in me right here, right? Like Angie, we were talking about being data-driven right before the show started.
Yeah.
Like, this is the data-driven nerd. It's like, I'm going to be able to track this all. I've been doing this all year now. And like, I'm like 59 and 20 or something like that. Cause I've had some like rough days. Oh, actually, I'll tell you exactly where I'm at right now. I'm at 64 and 20 for the year. So 64 wins, 20 losses. You know, this is the days, right? And like, as I see those losses creeping up, and a lot of those losses have been this past week because everything's so crazy, it's like, okay, what are we going to do different tomorrow that we're not going to have these losses tomorrow? You know, tomorrow won't be a loss, right? And so I'm consciously thinking about that. And that's how I kind of approach my days now. But each one of those things is part of a broader end state, right? You know, it's health or career or family or whatever. It's part of a broader goal I have. and I just make sure my days are aligned to do those things that are important to me.
Where do you store those goals?
In a journal. I'll show everybody.
Okay.
This is my Game of Thrones journal. But this is
Not
where it's at,
helping your case.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super nerd. Cubs and Game of Thrones. You guys don't even want to see all the Star Wars Legos like in this shelf over here. Yeah, but that's why I store it, and I look at it every single day. Like I carry this thing with me everywhere, right? And that's how I do it. People do stuff on, use notes on your iPhone or whatever. Use something online. Great, do it that way, right? And you don't have to have like a big list. Like just make it one item, and start there. Start for today, make it one item. And then as you get those things done and as those things become habits, then you can start checking stuff off, right? Like it got to the point where like last year, one of my daily things was working out. Well, working out is a habit now, so I don't have to do it. Though to be completely candid, the last week of working out's been rough because of the schedules got all weird, right? And the gym closed or whatever. But, all of a sudden, if that's not a habit anymore, then re-add it back to the list until it becomes a habit again.
Right.
Yeah. So what are some of your approaches to it, Angie? Do you have anything that you do every day?
For goals?
Or just how to get stuff done for yourself?
I don't, they're more like mental goals.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't write them down anywhere really. I do at work. I have our goals somewhere that I track. But personally, I do write things down, but just on a notepad. Like every morning, I'll write down the things that I want to accomplish that day.
Yeah.
And right before I go to bed, I actually kind of set some goals of like, I want to get up at this time. I want to do this first thing in the morning. And sometimes if I don't meet those goals, I'll feel off.
Right.
But generally I try to my goals can be as simple as I'm going to make myself coffee this morning and I'm going to walk the dogs at this time.
Right.
I'm going to wake up at 7:30 or 6:30, even though I might hit snooze a couple times. But the one goal I can never meet that I have not met is like waking up at 5:30. I try to, it just doesn't happen. I just don't want to be up at that time.
You got to have a why. Like your why has to be bigger than your excuses. We've talked about this before.
I know.
Like you don't have a big enough why to wake up that early.
Probably.
Because trust me, I was the same way. Like getting up before 7. What are you talking about? Like that's just crazy talk, right? Like
yeah.
But until the why got bigger than the excuse, then it and trust me, I hate getting up early. Hate it. It drives me crazy. But
I'm actually the opposite. Like my mind is on fire in the morning. So I actually prefer to work in the morning. It's the workout. Like, cause I think maybe it's that I'm setting the wrong goals for myself in the morning. Like I've been trying to do workouts in the morning and I just don't like it. I just don't. And maybe it needs to be wake up, do X, Y, and Z workout, or not workouts, but do all the work that your mind can do. And then at 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock, take a break and go work out for an hour then, which would be more achievable for me, I think.
Yeah, it really depends on your day too. Like the only way working out would work in my schedule would be to do it first thing in the morning. Like I can't do it at lunch because work and after work is just craziness. And so I had to figure it out differently. So I think we lost Kim, unfortunately, and I don't know. I'm texting back and forth with Derek right now. I wonder if he's going to try to make it in because he asked if we started. So this is you're getting it live, everyone. We are coordinating record times live in front of everybody right here. That's just how we do it when you go live.
Yes. Are people on Facebook able to respond to us or ask us questions while we're on live?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm watching.
Yeah, guys, don't be shy. Feel free to ask us a question.
Yeah.
If we have anybody watching.
We do. We have at least one person watching. I can see that. It'd be great if they said hello so we know that they're there. We'll give them a little shout out live on the stream here. As you're getting ready for tomorrow. Oh, actually, I want to take a step back. Something else about the list that I've seen other people do, and I definitely want to kind of think about coordinating or adding it to what I do. So aside from your daily task list, come up with your daily gratitude list. Like, what are the things? The 5 things you're grateful for.
I do that. Well, I don't do that every day, but I definitely think about at least 3 things that I'm grateful for.
Yeah, for sure. I do that too. Like, I do it as part of like a like a meditation practice. Like I'll meditate, and then at the end, like right before I go to sleep, I'll like talk about the things that I'm grateful for. But what I should do is start writing it down and walking through it. And it could be the same things every day, and that's okay. If that's what you're grateful for, that's what you're grateful for, right? So just whatever speaks. I think the biggest thing that I want to hit home on, and it goes back to the overthinking, is like don't overthink it. Just whatever comes to your mind, write it down,
Right.
and just go with it. And it could be the
Carlos,
most random thing.
Do you start your day with meditation then?
I used to. I don't anymore. I moved it to before I go to sleep.
Okay.
I used to do it first thing in the morning, and that, to tell you the truth, before you go to bed is kind of weird because it sometimes I fall asleep in the middle of meditation. I'll fall asleep, yeah, and next thing you know, I'm waking up. I'm like, holy crap, I fell asleep. I didn't mean to fall asleep, but yeah, that's the only bad thing about doing it like before you go to bed is if it's quiet and still, and it'll help you sleep, but it will definitely put you to sleep if you're tired. So
There was a time that I was doing meditation every day, and I do it sporadically now. But the time that I did have a dedicated practice, it was after I had been in a severe accident, and it
yeah.
really helped.
Sure.
And I know I need to get back to it. I just haven't done it, but I think about doing it. So that's kind of working towards it.
Make it one of your tasks for the day. Meditate.
Yeah, I definitely do. Like, I like the idea of carrying a book around with me, like you do, where I'm just capturing the things that that I want to do or accomplish in the year. So,
Yeah.
and maybe make it like more like my work goals, but make it personal.
Yeah.
So
I keep a combination of the two. You know, I kind of have my personal goals. I have my career goals. And, I mean, obviously we have our work goals at work for the things that we need to deliver on or whatever. So the other thing about the meditation too, I think we were talking about the book yesterday, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. The full meditation to that one is like an hour and 15 minutes. It's insane. Yeah. So that's the one I used to do in the morning.
And it was guided.
It was
right?
guided. Yeah, it's an hour and 15-minute guided meditation. And
did you feel yourself meditating?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I talked a little bit about it in the episode. It was episode 7 of Storm Champer. We talk about some of the things that I was going through, and I talk about a whole thing about like where the whole idea for Storm Champ actually came from a meditation from that book. Like that's where it manifested for me. And like, you know, I talk a little bit about how something opened up and I could feel it's crazy. It's crazy talk when I say it out loud, but man, like there's
it's not. Yeah. It's not actually. I've actually, when I was doing that after my accident, I don't understand how I think I talked about this a little bit, but I really don't understand how we survived because it was a major accident. The car was tiny. We were hit by a semi. My dog flew out of the car. I think I've told the story before on one of the episodes.
Yep.
But so afterwards, I was questioning my why am I here kind of thing. And obviously, I think I survived that accident for a reason. And I ended up doing meditation every day to get myself through it. Strangely enough, at 5:30 in the morning, and to the point where I would get it. It was a guided meditation. One of the meditators that I like, his name is Rod Stryker. He's awesome. If you ever are on Yoga Glow, he does have meditation there. But I would get to the point where I could feel my energy rising, which is really bizarre, you know, but I would give thanks to the universe afterwards. And it just felt so good. I felt like I was on this high.
Yep. Absolutely.
And just through meditating and being present and practicing the breath and feeling, you know, my spirit and everything. So it sounds woohoo, but it really actually helped. So,
ladies and gentlemen, welcome Derek to the show.
Hey, Derek.
Hey, everybody.
Nice to see you.
How are you?
It's
good to see you too.
Glad you're able to make it on tonight.
Me too. Sorry about the commute. It was from over there.
I kind of ran into a stoplight issue at the corner of my hallway and living room.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit earlier about living intentionally, and now we got a little bit into meditation. I know you've mentioned meditation in the past on the show too. Like, what's your experience been with meditation?
Yeah, I've kind of dabbled in it a little bit. I've really kind of focused on trying to be quick with meditation, which almost seems I don't know, counterintuitive, but I guess even 10 minutes, doing 10 minutes of meditation, it's been really helpful. I get a 10-minute break from work, and I'll go and immediately try to meditate, and it's something as simple as um I don't think I'm that good at guiding myself in meditation, so I do some online videos. I mentioned the what are they? Binaural noises, or
Hmm. Hmm.
I those sounds, they have videos on YouTube that you can actually look up, and they'll kind of help guide you just based on closing your eyes, and you'll hear these noises and they kind of take you away. And no, I am not induced with any drugs or substances while I'm doing this. It's
That's too bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure it would impact the experience in some way,
Yeah.
but it's always a good trip.
Yeah, there you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, no, the sounds are good too. I listen to thunderstorms sometimes when I meditate. Like I'll find a thunderstorm thing on YouTube, and I'll put in earbuds and I'll listen to the thunderstorms, and I'll just breathe or whatever. So that's like my favorite one. Go figure. Storm Champ thunderstorms. I have a thing with storms. I mean, it's a curse actually. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Noises.
Yeah,
like,
but thunders. I love rain. I love the way rain sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then like if not the big loud thunderstorms, but like the rolling thunder in the background. It's like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or
so
even
soothing.
what about a creek? Like
Yeah,
a
water
river,
running.
creek.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
water running in
Yeah.
general. It's water.
The water. Yeah.
Water is
Very
life.
soothing.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've even listened to, I think they have the frequency, the vibration of, I forgot what it's called. It's like some type of frequency level
Mm,
that resonates with all humans or
yeah.
something.
Really?
Is
I forgot what it's called,
that supposed to be
but
like the ohm?
yeah, like
Oh.
but it's a certain frequency level that actually helps boost your energy, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't remember what the level is, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I'll
And it's
see those. I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'll see those videos on YouTube where it's like, listen to this specific frequency to do this thing. And I don't know how legit it is. I haven't looked at the research, but I do feel better listening to some of those videos. So I just go based off of what I feel.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and the thing about meditation too, it's like if you're first starting to do it and you're first getting into the practice, number one, it is a practice. It's something you have to do over and over to feel more comfortable with it. Number two is when you
Mhm.
first start, you think you're doing it all wrong. And that's
Right.
natural. Everybody feels that way. Number three, you probably won't go more than a second without your mind racing off to something else. So don't feel like, oh, I just can't keep my mind still. Everyone goes through it. I think the longest I go is maybe like 10 or 15 seconds now without thinking of anything else, right? But then it'll go screaming off into something and you just pull it back in. And that's part of the consciousness of the meditation, is being able to pull yourself back in
Mm.
to recenter yourself, for sure. And just do it. I mean, start a couple minutes and then work up to 5 minutes, work up to 10 minutes, like we were mentioning earlier. Like the longest meditations I was ever doing was like an hour and 15 minutes, and those were insane. But it was a huge commitment, right? It was if you really want to figure out how to still your mind, like that's the level of work you need to put in to this stuff. Like you do your weight loss journey, fitness journey, whatever, getting good at something, a craft, you're going to put in the time, and meditation is just, you got to do the work for it too. So
Yeah.
Shout out to Gaia. Do you guys ever listen or use Gaia
no.
television? There's a yogi on there named Kevin Courtney. I think if you ever want to check out Gaia, they think they have like a 7-day free trial or something like that. But he actually does a series for meditation and guiding you through. It's like, I don't know, so many series, but his voice is awesome. The meditations are short and sweet, and he just kind of teaches you how to meditate, and then has a teachings behind it. So just has you question and do homework even. It's really good series, so I'd recommend it. Kevin Courtney, you can probably find him on Instagram.
Yep.
I don't know if any of his videos are on YouTube, but they are on Gaia.
Yeah, I have to check that out.
The voice is a big thing too.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because there are some people who, even when they're just talking to you, you're like, oh my God, you're so soothing just to
Yeah.
Yeah.
talk to. Like,
Yeah,
could you
you'll-
just wake me
find
up in the
different
morning?
Yeah, you'll find different ones that resonate with you because some of them like I can't listen to. Like it's not because
Yeah.
they don't have
Yeah.
a pleasant voice. It's just for whatever reason it just isn't doing it for me, right? But I guess
Yeah.
if you're like super into ASMR, there you go.
So you had mentioned, this is not on ASMR, but you had mentioned your mind kind of wandering, and I had that problem too. And I did this guided meditation in Chicago, and one of the things in that particular meditation, they brought up, they started talking about visuals, like picture, a ribbon that's going up through one nostril and circling around inside of your lungs and then leaving outside of the other nostril as you exhale. And that visual, when they do stuff like that, that really does capture my attention.
Yep.
I focus on, oh yeah, there's a freaking ribbon. Oh, we can swear here, right? I was going to drop a different F word.
I mean, Angie was
We
cursing
try
earlier.
not
We
to.
didn't appreciate that too much.
We actually swore in the first second.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much. Yeah, drop
I don't
off
even know
that.
what this means.
Yeah.
This could be like a horrible thing.
Dude, that's old school. What are you talking about?
I know
That's
it's
like how
old
you used
school,
to cuss
but
at each other as a kids when you couldn't cuss in front of like
Yeah.
teachers and stuff. Yeah,
but it's like you find out stuff has like dark meanings in the background. And sorry,
for
that's a
sure. Yeah,
whole other tangent.
we're gonna get all kind of comments now. Oh my God, what did he do on the show, guys? The guided meditations that
supposed
I
to be
like,
kid rated.
the ones I like are the kind of the same deal, but so that you focus on a different body part and it just walks you through focusing on your legs, your
Yeah.
feet, whatever. And then there was another one, and again, this is in the book too, Angie, the Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. There's
Yeah.
another one where it's like a water meditation. So it's basically feel the water starting at your toes, and then he walks you through the water rising. So
Mhm.
at some point, the whole room is filled with water, and you're kind of like, he guides you in a way where you're feeling every single part of you within the water, and that's what you're concentrating on. So you're staying super present in like where you're at in that moment, as opposed to like your mind like shooting off into different places. Then you can refocus on, okay, the water's at my nose right now, and what would that feel like, and whatever. So it's good, really good.
Hmm.
Yep. So
There was
check it.
a
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, there was a book I read about being more present in the moment. And ironically, I don't remember the title, but one of the things it talked about was like focusing, even like just taking a moment to yourself where you're focusing on one thing. Like you could have a piece of paper where you just have, I don't know, maybe a logo or something, and you're focusing on every curve and every little piece of it, every change in color, and just identifying all of that internally to be present. And I think doing little activities like that and, refocusing kind of helped me.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. So if you're really looking for a way to kind of calm your mind, silence your mind, and kind of get back into the present moment, meditation is definitely the key to get you there. So definitely recommend looking into that and figuring out a practice for that. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to be it for tonight. One thing, let's talk about one piece. I know we talked about some pieces of advice. We talked about books yesterday. What do we want to leave everyone with today? One thing we're looking forward to tomorrow. Let's do that. What are you looking forward to tomorrow, Derek?
What am I looking forward to tomorrow? Oh man, I wasn't ready for that question.
I know. I just made it up. Could you tell?
I'm looking
morning.
forward to the conversation.
That's the easy out.
No, I'm looking forward to finding different opportunities in tomorrow, and to just looking at the world optimistically versus negatively, which I think in the beginning of the week, in the beginning of our discussion of COVID side chats, is that what it's called?
Or Corona side chats. Yeah,
Corona,
Corona
Corona
fireside
side.
chats?
Yeah, Corona
Our
fireside
Corona
chats.
fireside chats is I actually entered the week feeling very negative, and I had been feeling that way for a few weeks, or the last couple of weeks, since all of, as Kim was saying, that we've been kind of going through this mourning period of our old normal life, and I actually am starting to feel like a more positive spin. So yeah, I'm just trying to look at every day with new opportunities and taking little things, and maybe tomorrow I will grab a journal and start writing all my yearly goals and
There
then
you
my
go.
quarterly goals for myself
There you
outside
go.
of work.
Make sure
So
they're
that's what
smart
I'm looking
goals.
forward. They will be smart for sure.
All right, Derek, what about you?
All right. Specifically, I am looking forward to. I talked to this business owner who's put out a few books just within the time that we've actually started having this crisis going on, and I'm like, "How did you do 3 books in this time?" And he's like, "Oh man, they're minor books. There isn't a whole lot to them, but you can push everything through and get them published on Amazon." And
Yeah.
he was like, "Yeah, you can do it." And I was like, "All right." So I am kind of working on something that I will talk to you guys about later. So I am eager to work on a secret project that I can't
Nice.
tell you anything about. And everybody should have a secret creative project. So yeah.
I concur with that for sure. Everyone should have one. The thing I'm looking forward to the most for tomorrow is my team at work got assigned a new product, and I am writing up the product description. And we have some processes that we do internal to my company, and so I have some time set aside the next couple days to sit down and actually write up the product description and what it's going to be. And I've been looking forward to this. I finally got some time in my calendar to do it. So this thing could be pretty big. So I'm really excited about it. It's also top secret, but it's because it's an actual product. So I can't
Secret creative project.
Secret creative project, yeah. But this is completely work related. So
That sounds awesome.
all right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. If you want to, please check out our website at stormchamp.com. There we have links to all of our social media and all of our past episodes, including the 2 live stream or Corona side streams that we have done earlier this week. We recently published those episodes, so they are there on the site or in your favorite podcast catcher, iTunes, Stitcher, all that good stuff, Spotify. Check us out. Derek, Angie, once again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, guys. See ya.
Bye.